to shine in their moment. When there were questions and what have you, the vice president and the first lady will answer those comments, and the president also was asked a few times, and he will answer. But the level of humility sort of compel him some of the times when he answering to get out of the tent under the he was under the tent. He would get out of there, get outside and explain. He was talking about why reading is so important. I've told you about that. It allows you to gain knowledge, but there are also other health benefits. Reading reduces stress. It increases your mental acuity and all the different stuff that is. But specifically, the empowerment and the knowledge part. I just like to stress that.
Yeah.
People talk about reading makes a ready man. Readers are leaders and what have you. I mean, it's almost difficult to find an avid reader, just, lying by the wayside. I mean, I normally don't see that. Person who is an avid reader, he or she is so empowered.
Yeah, but
You know?
Waka, you're right. So just take an example.
Yeah.
World's intellectuals today, people like you, myself, others, that has got the intellectual ability to to address these forums, address issues, interact, make decisions, draft policies here and there. All of these things came as a result of intensive reading, backed by studious environments. All right. So what these women are doing today, it is a legacy project.
Yeah.
Not many people sees this. There's always been an adage that says that if you can read this, thank a teacher.
Yeah.
All right. So our abilities, people will argue that okay, there are formal and informal education. We agree, but if you decide to formalize education, it means that you should not just do it on the surface.
Yeah.
One must have the passion, and one must be ready enough to to meet up these intellectual challenges, and that's
Yeah.
what the vice president and our erudite first lady, who happens to have a huge sense of humor
Yeah.
for the people of Liberia. Look at this woman, from the children, the elder. In fact, I was at the Ministry of Youth and Sports 2018 Bwakai, when she launched the Cloud for Hope Foundation.
Yeah.
And she had a children's program at the SKD.
Yeah.
And I went and provided coverage. And I spoke to a few mothers there. And
And
they were so happy.
The Cloud home, I think that she's built. I don't know how to call it. Cloud
In
home.
Buchanan?
No, the one and
Clyde Foundation.
the Cloud Foundation.
Yeah,
I think the building in Marshall.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a whole village.
I see the old folks
But
program in Buchanan too, as well.
when I say a village, and I would touches, it's a really huge.
It's a consummation of
in
different-
Dubai, when they say the Expo
Village, yeah.
When you go to the Expo Village, that's
It's
a
a con-
modern house.
Yeah, consummation of modern infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to another subject matter, which is the fact that, and by the way, I told you earlier that we're going to be talking to Finance Minister Samuel Ditwe at 8:30. The government of Liberia recently signed on to the CLSG project. This is going to be a brief chit chat. Hopefully, I mean, if he agrees, I can only imagine that the minister comes on and he will be passionate by the level of work he's done and opting to explain further about those things. So some of the times we might not stay with the time with vision, but the minister will, I understand, is going to be appearing next week. When he comes back from the Côte d'Ivoire to explain further about some of the developments that have taken place. He also came from the Springs meeting, the World Bank, the Bretton Woods Institution, the Springs meeting. He was there. He was one of, I think, the only sub-Saharan minister that was allowed to sit on a panel of discussion and talk about various, the sort of economic crisis the world is faced with. The IMF had warned that the global economy was slowing down and all of that. We just heard yesterday, fortunately, that the largest economy in the world, the United States, experienced a brief period of growth after two consecutive quarters of a slowdown, of no growth at all. So hopefully, things are beginning to pick up, because there was a point there that there was a global fear that the world is sinking into depression again. So Minister Twe was one of few ministers to talk about this, and as erudite as he is, he presented the case of Liberia and also opined on the the global challenges quite eloquently. And he's going to be on our platform again this morning, talking about Liberia's signing on to the CLSG project, West Africa Power Pool. So that's coming up at 8:30. You can afford to miss. Let's talk about the president's launching of another program, quite an impressive program, the Accelerated Community Development Program. The president attended the UN United Nations Day, October 24, highlighted the UN's involvement with Liberia, the kind of developments that have taken place, in Liberia as a result of the support of the UN and all of that. But then he also used the occasion to launch the Accelerated Community Development Program. This program is a multi-million-dollar program that is intended to help communities, rural as well as urban communities. Different communities have got different challenges. But with the case of Liberia is poverty stricken. You know that. That is not just recent. It is like the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, it is challenged with poverty, but the president is attempting to lift us out of that situation. In fact, that is one of the major underpinnings of the poverty reduction strategy. So when the president launched the program, he explained that this is not because of elections. Because people say, the president launched that kind of program on the heels of elections, maybe the president won't win election. They said, no, this is something that he started working on from 2019. He's been working with other partners, and the UNDP even last year also admitted when they had different government agencies somewhere in Western Liberia to plan about how the program is going to go and all of that. And this is intended to firstly create empowerment for locals in the different communities by giving them jobs, but also working on building some working on short-term projects like building infrastructure in the community, like maybe agriculture project, health project, maybe mini clinics, fixing roads, feeder roads in rural and urban community, and that's going to be happening as in the next 12 months. The president has already mandated the Minister of Finance to work with other partners to source about $100 million for the first phase of the project. And in the first phase is between 2022 to 2025, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Bwaka. I kind of don't see why people, should underestimate the president's passion for development, as was exercised even 2018 when he hit the road after he was elected. You come to understand that the president's upbringing was surrounded by situations that presented an underdeveloped environment. So him being a leader right now and looking at the challenges confronted by our own people and how the world has evolved both economically and infrastructurally, it became very important to him that part of his negotiations, part of his wanting to reflect the good image of Liberia should be done through developmental activities. And when you develop a society, you are developing the propensity of the ordinary people. You create that environment where the people can have the hope. People live in poverty and they are clouded by the thought that they can go beyond that. But when the president came, Bwaka, let's look at, first of all, let's look at the thatch replacement to concrete.
Yeah.
Okay, people saw that as nothing, but it was very powerful and important. People who had the mindset that they were meant to live in thatches for their entire lives, today they are thinking different. A friend of mine went to the 14 military hospital. I just want to add this. You know what the guy said to me? The guy said, when I was in America, Daniel, a lot of people, talk about the president groundbreaking and he will create earthquake. Jokingly. He said, when I went to 14 military, Daniel, the infrastructure I saw, he said, even the internal fixtures of that hospital speaks to the developmental mindset of this president. Liberians need to give him all of the support, void of politics, because he's doing his very best. And I think this is something that the $100 million put forward by the president in terms of these different developmental activities is crucial at this point in time. It is generational because after his administration, the tangibles will be seen by other administrations to come after. So, which means that this is a leader that is not doing things just for today, and his continuous efforts to lay an enabling environment for the next administration to come shows that President Weah is a generational leader and a generational thinker, and politicians must follow same suit.
I couldn't agree more, you know. But by the way, let's announce the arrival of our own Joseph Dane. Joseph Dane, good morning.
Good morning, mate. No tea.
We gotta ask the Elbc people. No tea, you ain't get tea?
Tea, you don't get tea? I've been drinking hot water on it. But anyway, my morning minister says...
Yeah, morning. Take care of Joseph Dane.
Yeah. Morning, Joseph. Morning.
Yeah, morning. I was not listening to the book and I drove. They not drove.
You told Moro Boy?
Yeah, I told Moro Boy. Moro Boy ain't got radio.
But Moro Boy can be good too. You can't let Moro Boy?
Moro Boy, you got brie.
Yeah, but that's not the regular brie what God can give you. That's the real brie.
What time can came from Foya? You talking the Elbc thing there?
My brother, I can still on there. Oh.
What time can came from Foya?
My brother, I go out for you.
But anyway, the morning I hear you're talking about plenty things.
Yes. We're talking about, we're supposed to be having the finance minister. He's supposed to call him at 8:30. He's currently in Ivory Coast, as a matter of fact, to consummate this.
Oh, Samuel.
Yeah, the CLSG consummation and the TSA. So we bring him to big current.
I don't know what that boy don't see.
But maybe the man got small kissy in the background. So yeah, so that's what we've been talking about. And we also talked about he will be calling him at 8:30 to update the country on the efforts made by government so far to provide, stable electricity.
Oh yeah, that's a big news that everybody.
It's a very big news.
And not only the big news, because the government has spent a lot of money on the electricity thing,
Yep.
we can solve the problem. Elbc will also fast-started to they coming up with some kind of program, and the people who still in the government current.
Okay.
Yeah, they coming up. The boss they want to ready certain money they will just deploy in certain community. They just come before your work out, just see the put on your. They start checking your meter then. You know to put you with there, and people will be there. People will get free sleeping pay.
They will weigh your leg.
Yeah, we'll get free sleeping pay. And look at the system. When they put it in place, when they don't know I was saying that people will cut. Take on, yeah, and yeah, fuck.
You want me?
Okay. Well, like we announced earlier, we were going to be talking to the area Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Minister Samuel Tue. This week, the government signed on to landmark agreements. First, it was a power purchase agreement from Cote d'Ivoire, basically agreeing to supply electricity. Then it was the transmission service agreement, which essentially says, the company that are going to be transporting the electricity to Liberia using more than 1,300, kilometers of lines and all of that. This is something Liberia has been working for quite some time, working towards. There was a major stakeholder engagement some time ago at the Executive Mansion when the government stated that it was committed to ensuring that the kind of problem that the government, that the people of Liberia, that is, faced during the last dry season, will not be repeated this dry season. And so we've made some, efforts in that direction and achieve a milestone. So we have the Honorable Minister of Finance on the line right now, Honorable Samuel Tue Jr. Good morning, Honorable Minister.
Good morning, Micat. Great to speak with you and to speak with the Liberian people this morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's great to have you. It's not quite an easy venture some of the times to have you. But how do you feel this morning? Following such a signing. I know you've been working towards this for quite some time.
Again, thanks to God, Almighty God, and thank God for the people of Liberia who continue to show to demonstrate patience and understanding with the government of His Excellency Dr. George Manuel Weah, knowing that His Excellency is working seriously to transform Liberia. It's not going to happen overnight, as some politicians would like to tell the people. So I'm very happy today that this is a major milestone that was achieved in our energy plan because we do have a run of the river hydro, which runs very low during the dry season. And then, last dry season it was very terrible. I was on the show where I appealed to the people for patience and understanding that we were going to make this happen. And thanks for the leadership and support of His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, who spent countless hours on the phone with President Ouattara, negotiating, doing the heavy lifting for Liberia. So Ouattara was flexible. We had some debts owed to Cote d'Ivoire. They've been flexible in our repayments because the president has shown the leadership and he respects President Ouattara. He considers him his father. So they do talk a lot. And so the president is very excited that we're here to represent the country and to find this thing, thanks to the Minister of Mines and Energy, thanks to the new CEO of Elbc, who is kicking dust at Elbc. We'll talk a little bit more about power theft and what it means for this. We have to end power theft in Liberia, and the CEO and the government and the president are committed to doing that. So I will talk about some of that this morning.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to power theft later, but following the signing, what are the next set of steps that are going to happen?
No, right now the signing signals that we are now. So there are two signings you talked about. First is the power agreement, which is LEC in Liberia to the LEC in Cote d'Ivoire, which is called the CIE, Cote d'Ivoire Energy Company. So that says that we are going to be buying electricity from them.
Yeah.
To come. So technically, it's 27 megawatts that we're going to be purchasing. Just a little bit, small math for the Liberian people. The hydro that we have has 80 megawatt capacity.
Okay.
80. So it's 80 megawatt. It used to be around 60 before the war.
Yeah.
But now, since the war, we took it up to around 80 megawatts. So it's about 88, but they say 8 of the megawatt there is used for internal purposes. So.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask that because I know 88. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So each turbine produces 22, but the other 2 megawatts, they don't like to count it because it's like, you got to use energy inside or that one. So
Okay.
80 megawatts, what the 4 turbines produce. In the rainy season, this is historical, but interestingly, some people like to think that President George Weah was the one who started doing, who started this cycle where rainy season, dry season. So we're all here boys. I remember, Corey used to go, we say, let go. I remember in Bowman British where I was living, Corey used to go, let go.
Definitely.
Definitely. 7-year-old, I remember let used to go like that. But now when life go now, like George, we have caused that problem. But that's another thing. So they eat it during the rainy season, and then the dry season now it comes to 20, sometimes even 15. I think last dry season it was like almost 13 or 15 megawatts. So basically, the last dry season was tough. The water level was extremely low. This is some of the effect of climate change.
Yeah.
Now, we know the president has to go to the Egypt to talk about climate change. He's been talking about putting Liberia at the center. We have all this green, all this forest, and we're not getting much. So the president engaging the partners about climate change. That's why it affected Liberia in the last dry season. The water went so low. And so we went to low like that, and then most of our diesels are old. We're refurbishing some of them. So the real capacity was not there to supply the last dry season. So that's why, the president sent me on the radio and said, look, when you go talk to the people also about, how they can be patient. And I did do that. And the people understood that we didn't need to spend that money just because we're close to the rainy season now. We're spending that money. We're preparing to spend that. But this is not free money. Let's make it clear.
Yeah.
It's not free. We have to pay for the 27 megawatts.
Okay.
We have to pay for 30 megawatts. So that's what we're doing. So between dry season and rainy season, you got about 60 megawatts that's gone. By the time the dry season comes, we have a gap of 60. And how do you feel that gap? Well, we're bringing 27 from Cote d'Ivoire. We try to get around 25 from the diesel. That will bring us close to around 50, right? So
Yeah.
We're still around 10. It's not, I'll be clear, it's not going to be 100%. We're still working, but it's never going to be anything close to what we saw the dry.
So essentially, this is not going to solve all of the problems. You said we need 60 megawatts. We're getting 27 from the Ivory Coast, and I understand we're fixing the thermal generators and all of that. When do we expect the solar to come online and all of that?
Yeah, solar, we're working on it. IFC, the International Finance Corporation, which is like the finance arm of the World Bank, private sector. So, the World Bank is working on 20. We're working according to the Elbc managing director. We believe that it will come on within a year. We will press hard to deliver that. IFC is also working on another 20. So, we're looking at 40 megawatts in solar capacity for our dry season. This is going to be significant, in a year or two. And the country is going to say, yes, this man has been working for the people of Liberia. They're going to see that he's working now. He's going to continue to work over the years. So I think we are getting there. It's good news for the Liberian people is that, let them continue to be patient with the president, understanding that he's solving very complex, very difficult challenges. These things are generational challenges that the president is tackling since he came into office. The president walked into a maelstrom, but he went through it. When the president took over, he thought he was standing on a very solid foundation. We all thought. And then that foundation went, like you build your house, and then all of a sudden you see it going under the water, underground.
Yeah.
So, oh, man, what happened?
Yeah, right.
She's a house is sinking. They're laying one side. Where that may be on the front. What we walk into.
I know. So
what?
Okay, I was going to ask about, you kind of break it up, but I was going to ask about, so with the 27 megawatts of electricity, what do we expect to see during this dry season? And when do we expect to see that?
Yep.
I think the key thing is difference is that there's going to be minimal outages. So load shedding was massive the last time. Let me be clear. Tell you, there's not going to be load shedding. There's load shedding all over. In Cote d'Ivoire, you do load shedding sometimes. So, yeah, but it's not going to be at the level we saw because then we have the 27 coming, and we're still in discussion as to whether we move from 27 to like we go to these are the issue here. The real issue we face here is that the generators at Bushra Island, according to the CEO. Mr. Micat, they're in good condition. We pay some money to repair them, but the challenge is that the fuel cost has gone high.
Okay.
The cost of fuel right now, the Ukraine war and the COVID thing, it took the fuel cost higher than it used to be. And these things are not like 10 gallons you're buying, like you buy 20 gallons. We're buying like hundreds of thousands of gallons. Yep. So that's significant amount of money, because of the cost. So that will limit our ability to use the diesel. So the way we wanted to use it, so the CEO is advising, he's presenting the government a concept paper as to whether, we pay more for fuel or we increase the power from Cote d'Ivoire from 27 to, but he said he does need some backup. The country has to have some diesel backup. Also now that we don't want to suck up the CLSG line.
Yeah.
So anything happen to that,
then the whole country off.
Okay, yeah. So let be clear.
Yeah.
The CLSG line down in Liberia, our clear. We're working with Transco and rural people. They're telling us that we done significant work. Reliability is clear. Reliability is strong. So yes, we will not expect any major thing. But with any electricity infrastructure, we do expect these things to happen. Maybe I know one happened earlier. I was with the Transco manager, and you were under stress to restore power in Sierra Leone. The turnaround time is pretty fast.
Okay.
So do that in Washington. So we're looking good, but yeah.
So I understand that I know why the transmission lines, are being they're bringing them to Monrovia. Several communities along the way are going to be electrified. Am I right? Rural communities
That
specifically.
is correct.
Okay.
Rural communities, we pay particular attention to that. Liberia is covered from start to beginning, anywhere, from Ola to Buda, all parts of Liberia can access this line. As a matter of fact, when the president came to office, this project was like 18 to 20%. He took it to where it is now, 97 to 100%. The president added Bututa substation, which is in Bon County. So that means everywhere now is covered by all the substations that we have. So, communities along the line, along the way will benefit because you can't do a major infrastructure project like this and leave the vulnerable. The big benefit that people of Liberia also are having, let's talk about that. Why can't you need to tell the Liberian people about these things every day? If I want to read up talking.
We'll do, Minister. Honorable.
We'll try on that as well.
Cost of power has dropped from 35 cents, under the previous administration. Now it is for the poor people, the poorest people in our country, the vulnerable, they're paying around 15 cents.
Wow.
These people were paying cents before under Vice President Joseph Boakai. Now today they are paying 15 cents under President. You imagine the difference. What is the definition of poor?
Yeah.
And we see the same thing in the price of rice. The president the president, sometimes we go to the president, we make an argument about the economics, the sustainability. The president say, go with all your Harvard, your George Washington economics. My price of rice is not going up. You go to the World Bank, go to the So, what the economics say, so I said, the price not going up, and that's the economics there. We got to pay for that, and everybody understand that because they know what right means. So it's the same thing with power. You have to bring the cost down from 37 cents to 15 cents. You got to protect the poor people who don't have power. You got to protect them. The business, even businesses now are paying around 22 to 24 cents. They used to pay 35 cents. Look, there's no real development that can happen like if major investors are paying 35 cents for electricity. Nobody wants to locate to Liberia. That's the major constraint we face. So,
and in fact, I understand. In fact, there was a major study that was done, I think, some years ago, and it was identified that electricity and roads, are the binding constraints to Liberia's growth.
Yep.
And it seems as if the president is attacking both of them head on. He started off first with roads, and then he's doing the same for electricity. And it seems as if he's jumped with that quite significantly with this power purchase agreement.
The president was clear. When he saw the president was clear from the get-go, he knows that the president, listen, you have a president who lived in Europe, who lived in the United States, who lived who went all over Africa. He's seen what development is. And he comes to power with, he said, but why is it that Africa and our countries are behind? You see the good things in Europe, electricity, road networks. You can drive from state to state in the United States. So the president declared that, look, we got to put more money on roads, beginning with urban community road. Let's look at what happened to Monrovia. You take it for granted right now. Imagine had the president not done the community road. The traffic situation that we'll be in. But people take it for granted. You have many alternatives. You don't have to pass through the rehab junction. You pass around. The roads are too plenty, and we still continue to do these roads. But the president did these roads under extreme difficulty. The time where,
as you speak, we have the public works minister right in the studio with us, and she just joined us. Yeah, so she's listening and smiling.
So I'm not too qualified to talk about that. I will not go But yeah, power and role the president is attacking because that's it. You can't change this country. In 2013, I worked with the MCC as the lead economist there, and we were the constraints analysis, and that's what we concluded that you cannot do anything in Liberia without road and electricity. And that's why we see this president putting the resources on. Between this current budget and next budget, we're spending between $65 to $70 million. Let me tell you, the government is spending significant amount of money. For the first time, we are funding the election on our own almost. The election budget is around $61 million, and we are paying $51 million from the budget.
Wow.
We need $10 million for our partners. The European Union said they're bringing $8 million, and we'll work with all the other partners to bring in the two. So it's always show that even though government funding from the budget, we still like to respect the partnership of our development partners who continue to help our country. So between that election and Elbc, you're going like almost $200 million.
200 million,
This is the second spend that we're doing in the next 2 years, 3 years. major infrastructure. We're talking about roads. You see the RA under construction. You see coastal. I mean, a lot of work we're doing around the country. So we're begging the Liberian people. All right, these are 100-year problems this man inherited. It will take him time to do the structural transformation. Don't listen to the politicians whose job is just to, who are there, didn't do anything. If the situation got worse, and we turn it around and we fix it, and then it won't come back. You don't listen to that thing. That politics. Everybody will play politics. By the end of the day, I respect the Liberian people. Where I have some doubts, today I can tell you clearly that Liberian people can separate fact from rumor.
Oh yeah.
Liberian people know that it's working. I see it. I sense it in the community.
Yeah.
People say, yeah, Minister, certain time, we're confused, but now we're very clear that the people who are playing politics, 16 billion lie, all kind of lie were coming. But now the people know who George Weah is,
exactly.
What kind of style as the president told you, he talk and do. Now he gave you speeches, rhetoric. He's not a rhetorical president. He's a doing president. That's what people are seeing now in all of these institutions.
Okay, so
Daniel has a question.
Minister Tua, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Daniel.
Okay, thank you first of all for the level of work done so far. I can attest when we took office, you acquired a very difficult fiscal platform, and you've been doing tremendously well. So my question is, Minister, now that we are consummating the different agreements that is supposed to supply stable electricity to our people, what are the innovations put in place for the distribution? Because if you look around, the issue of power theft has been very, very popular. Are we putting in some additional innovative measures, digital-wise, to ensure that we can reduce power theft from a soft application as to the physical?
I think I'm glad that I said earlier that we need to talk about power theft.
Yeah.
What's happening, right? Look, let me tell you, the new management of Elbc led by Honorable Micat, who was the former foreign minister. He led the MCC compact, the development. He also delivered the Mancopy Hydro. He is now, President appointed him, and that was one of the best choices the president ever made, I'm telling you. Yeah. Money, he was there. From the brief I got from him while he was here in Africa, it's like he's trying to push the envelope. He's doing everything over there at C to really handle the power theft situation, break up cartels. So yes, let me appeal to the Liberian people that this is not free power. When 27 megawatts come, we're spending around $38 to $40 million for this thing. It has to be paid for by the users. What we're basically doing as a government here is sort of to guarantee it while we collect the money from the residents and the businesses.
So the $14 million that we appropriated in the budget was sort of a guarantee, and the actual purchase of the electricity is going to come from the consumers, right?
Yeah, from the consumer. So technically, we bought the $40 million, for all of that, but it's just a guarantee, meaning that as you use the power, the money that the LEC is collecting is going to go to an escrow. Government just guarantee how we collect this money all out. When we want to have people to say, oh, my man, y'all use pay for it. No.
Okay.
The guarantee the government provided, but it's not free. People have to pay for it. That's why Mr. Qatar is now, look, for the first time, let me be honest. I'm getting calls from people who say, my man, if you didn't call the outlet, they say that power theft. So you know that you're doing something different now. For the first time, I've been Minister of Finance, I hear people complaining, calling me, say, they call our lab because they say power theft business. It is a good news for the country. So the man is kicking dust. He needs to be supported, and with government, the president behind him, we have an power theft law. The power theft, right, the law says that if you steal power, you can go to jail for that. We want communities to organize themselves to prevent power theft.
Honorable Minister, it would seem as if we have quite a substantial, tax at hand, because some of the last statistics we were looking at, I think it was even pronounced by the Minister of. Sorry about that. Somebody was trying to call the line. Please don't call the line. Yeah, we're back. So we're back, Honorable Minister. Are you there?
The LEC is also connected we have to connect businesses like investors to be mounting in Grand Mount.
Okay.
They need around 20 megawatt. Then as of
Wow.
they're doing
Wow.
a phase 2
What?
on third and I think they will need around 75 megawatt by the time they're ready. So between 75 and 20, you're talking about 150 coming from CLSG. Yeah, so they will pay for this. We have to do the connections and the infrastructure to them. So basically, as you get big companies on the electricity grid, it can compensate low consumers and some of the power. But the reality is that we got to stop the stealing power in the country right now. We're talking about corruption. There's a lot of talk about all of that. We need to change our attitude in the whole country, everywhere, from teacher to student to parents. Everywhere we need to be honest with ourselves in our chances in the country.
If we're talking about 50%, Honorable Minister, of the power we generate, if we say 50% of that is stolen, because that's according to the last statistics, how can we effectively stop that?
And that was the question I was asking.
That would require a really national. That would require a really national. The minister is
calling.
Yeah, stop calling. We are. So that would require really national effort, Honorable Minister.
It requires national, community, church, mosque, family, grandpa, all effort from president to whoever, the lowest person in the country. Everybody got to get and say, this has to stop. Okay? And I think that consciousness is coming. I told you people are calling me, okay, but the other thing is, okay, we'll go down for out there, they don't want meter. So someone showed me meters in the country are ramping up. There are more meters coming to World Bank funded project. We're making sure make sure that we have things that is qualified to bring in meters. That's what the CEO is working on. So meters can be sitting in Liberia instead of just for us bringing it, through a project. So I think we're working on that to domesticate that kind of thing where meters are installed somewhere in Liberia. But all that work is happening. All that work. Look, there are more people enjoying today than ever in the history of Liberia because of the population growth. The challenge is that as more people connecting to the power, the production of electricity has to improve.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can't just be sitting up. That's why we're going to solar, and that's why we're talking about the CLSG, and that's why we're talking about Micat Dam and the investment that we gave Liberia 500 megawatt capacity. So we can, as I said in my remark, we don't want to be an energy consumer. We want to be an energy producer. That's the vision of the president. By the time the president leaves office 2029, we'll be on the verge of being an energy surplus country where we consume certain amount, then we
produce.
We export the other, and we make some money out of it.
Do we intend to increase the power generation we're getting from the Ivory Coast, the 27 megawatts? I mean, is there a plan to increase that amount? Because you were just talking about.
It's a plan.
Yeah.
So what we sign is just a beginning. It's a beginning, but there is a plan. As we expand the infrastructure, a lot of work in the next year we have to do. We, the government, are giving Mr. Money Captain 2 years to turn LEC around. He understands that timeline. Because everybody's saying, power theft has been going on for ages, but my man, when I say this is more, you can turn it around. In 2 years, you got to make LEC viable. You got to bring power theft from 50% to around 15-20%. In Ghana, in all the other countries, power theft is around 20%. So you got to connect large consumers, reduce power theft to a 20% level where you collect 80% of your revenue, and then you owe the government a lot of money. Listen, all the taxes people pay. Let me tell you, all the taxes you pay when you consume electricity, there's a tax on it. It's the goods and services tax.
Yeah.
That money doesn't come to consolidated account. It should come, but LEC keeps that money. We are over subsidizing LEC. Okay, we're bending over backwards beyond the support we give them. The taxes consumers pay also stay. LEC owes around nearly $30 million. By the time money check LEC around in 2 years, over the next 5 years, government will start collecting all the we're keeping the record of government have 2 a year, 1 million a year, then all will die with.
Yeah.
Who we can have to always start collecting in there. So we get giving him a chance to turn the place around, and he's doing a one job so far. Also, thanks to the president for the appointment of Honorable Money Capital.
Another thing, Honorable Minister, I mean, because there's been a lot of hope in Liberia with the signing of this agreement. I understand I like the fact that you put up a caveat earlier on that, everything is not solved with just this signing, that there might be a possibility of some problems in the future and all of that. But there still remains a lot of hope. Any other thing you want to say just before we conclude this interview?
Just to thank the Liberian people for the opportunity to serve them, to electing the president who cares about them, and to continue to appeal for their understanding in dealing with these complex challenges that we Liberians have created for ourselves. We are a society, and the way we live, the way we process, are all made up in society. To the Henry Andrew. Remember who was the election commission chairman when Charles Taylor won the election?
Yeah.
He gave a wonderful speech and I think people were complaining why Taylor won, all that kind of stuff. First, he said, no society than the people who make up society. So, society is some of the people society. What kind of society you see comes from the people. We call it all our people now to support their government, to change their attitude. Power theft, let's fight it. If we want Elbc to be viable to do more electricity, let's give Elbc all the money that Elbc needs so Elbc can expand the infrastructure so all of us can benefit. Some are not paying and some are paying, then that's a problem for the government, that's a problem for the country. So we're appealing to everybody. The government is going to be hard on power theft. We have a law. We are putting up, community measures. I think the new CEO is working with communities. Let the community groups, you organize yourself. If you see somebody stealing power, you report them. Report them. You will be rewarded. So let's see the effort. There's going to be a countdown on this. Big businesses, we're connecting big businesses. And let me tell you, the CEO said many big businesses are connected to the grid now. You know why? Because the fuel costs have gone high.
Yeah.
Again, full generator, so everybody running right now to be connected.
It's high.
Yeah, the problem is that when we connect big businesses now, we need to improve our capacity, which is the solar and our generation. Because by the time you connect all the big businesses, then they will consume all the power, and then sooner or later, the residents, they will start, they will not get the power. Because if somebody consumes, somebody has to lose it. The only way somebody cannot lose it is when you expand the production capacity, which is what we're doing now. We're reaching out to Ivory Coast. In the next 3, 4, 5 years of our energy deficit, we take power from them to help our development. The day we get surplus, we export power to them and other countries. We're also in discussions with the government of Guinea. Guinea, they're finishing their hydro. They will be able to sell us at cheaper rates. So the good news is that we have an energy market in the region, thanks to Transco, the West African countries, the full Malo River countries, thanks to the ministers of energy of these countries and the ministers of mine, thanks to SAI, thanks to President Ouattara. President, we have talked to President Ouattara for flexibility. President Ouattara, thanks to the president for his leadership. All I can tell the people here is that I'll find time sometime next week, I think, Waka. And I was on the show talking about anything.
Yeah.
But I've not been talking a lot. I think I've been on the radio for last month or so. It's because working. The president said, let's work, let the other people be talking, you'll be working.
I know.
Every time you go talk. I say like, let's do the work. The people will talk. Let me tell you, President said 1 year ago, people were talking like, you can't listen to talk. You do when the people speak, we talk. You start talking business. And I do, we listen to the president. So every now and then you have to inform them. Come on the show in the next 2 weeks.
One last question, Honorable Minister. Do we have all of the different substations now in Liberia? Because you know that there should be different substations that the power lines should pass through. Are they fully ready and energized? I mean,
prepared to be energized?
It's ready. If I right, we had delay in the structure of the agreement, and because we didn't want to pay this money last year when we were just about entering the rainy season, so we wanted to buy some time. But everything is ready right now. The project is like 98%. All right. We also, I think we're working with the African Development Bank to also add another circuit. So for reliability, so you need to have a double socket line, transmission line. So when something happens to one, we have a fallback.
A fallback, yeah.
All right. So that would come online. That would increase the capacity of the line. For Liberia, that the many more now with a double circuit would benefit for that in the medium.
Okay.
So that's why Liberian people for the understanding, to trust your president and your government. We're working for you. We're not sleeping. We know what the problems are. We know what the solutions are. We know nobody should know it. All these things are in economic book. Everybody know what we need to do. We have the political will. The only thing we don't have at our disposal, let me tell you honestly, is that the amount of resources is smaller and that we don't control the time. So in other words, even if you have the resource, you can solve the problem. You can solve it. So those are the things that are out of our control. They're under the control of God. But we are working honestly to solve the Liberian people problem. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the voice of the Honorable Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Honorable Samuel D. Twe Jr. Minister Twe was on the line from Cote d'Ivoire, where he went to sign on to the transmission service agreement from Transco CLSG. But earlier on, the Liberian authorities has signed on to the power purchase agreement from Cote d'Ivoire, the Cote d'Ivoire authorities. So we're going to be getting 27 megawatts of electricity from Cote d'Ivoire. You heard him talk about, that dozens of communities going to be lighted while the transmission line is moving from the Ivory Coast, from our in Ivory Coast to Monrovia, but that's not the only thing we're looking at to solve the dry season problem. The 27 megawatt is one thing, but also the government is fixing, the thermal generators and providing HFOs fuel, because that's what Elbc has complained about. So they're going to be provided with fuel. They're also going to be fixing the one of the turbines at the Mount Coffee Hydro.
Yeah, sure.
Plus, they're going to be working also on solar power that the Liberian government, the World Bank, is working on. That's going to be consist of tens of megawatts of electricity as well. That's not going to be coming online this year. At some point, next year. So yeah, a number of things happening, but apologize.
The bulldozer.
Yeah, this morning, bro. The last time I saw she was on Pepe.
Where you were, G?
Yeah, the other minister probably were on Pepe. Madam Ruth Coker Collins is live in our studio. Good morning, Honorable Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Fofana and the team, and the Liberian people as well.
Yeah, how was your visit to the Southeast?
I think it was good, and it was of my first-hand information, and also to inspect, assess some ongoing